famed psychiatrist Carl Jung, he has a lot to do with things like the Myers-Briggs. A lot of his work in psychiatry is what developed into the Myers-Briggs test, personality test. He says this, he's attributed to saying this: hurry is not of the devil, it is the devil. Another Dallas Willard line, in a conversation with one of his proteges, one of his disciples was asking him about helping him, and here's the problems he's facing. And again, after a long silence, he says, hurry is the great enemy of the spiritual life in our day. You must ruthlessly eliminate hurry from your life. Of all the things you could say that's troubling us, of all the enemies of our soul that we may be facing, hurry? Hurry's the bad one? And again, we'll explore this in depth over the next few weeks, but here's the bottom line. You cannot be intimate and in a hurry. You and I have never been both hurried and loving. Those two cannot exist. And the ultimate threshold of discipleship is whether or not we love. Like the ultimate standard, the flag that we wave to say, this is what makes us followers of Jesus, is how we love one another. And you cannot be both hurried and loving. Every dad, at least minimum, needs to nod their head. Like when you have been frazzled and hurried, the last thing you are to your wife or children is kind. Okay, all right. I hope you're ready because I'm coming at you, double-barrel shotgun. All right, what makes us so hurried, at least in today's age? Hurry is not just a 21st century problem, okay? It is, though, made worse in this era, and I would say more of us struggle with this. What makes us so hurried? Researcher and professor of leadership and strategy at Messiah University, Michael Zigarelli, did a 5-year study entitled Distracted from God. And he traces the problem in this 5-step vicious cycle. He asserts this: I think the problem may be described as a vicious cycle prompted by cultural conformity, meaning Christians, see, this is exclusive to believers. Christians look a whole lot more like the world than our rabbi. Cultural conformity. In particular, it may be the case that, one, Christians are assimilating, just becoming part of a culture of busyness, hurry, and overload, which then leads to, number 2, God becoming more marginalized in Christians' lives, which leads to, 3, a deteriorating relationship with God, which leads to, 4, Christians becoming even more vulnerable to adopting secular assumptions about how to live, which leads to, 5, more conformity to a culture of busyness, hurry, and overload. And then the cycle begins again. We are caught in this cycle, in this rat race. We all know it's a problem. We all know that there's something wrong with this. And then we death scroll YouTube for 60 minutes and not think twice about it. I'm really going to test, who knows what? What kind of terminology hits who? And yet, one of our key verses would be Romans chapter 12, verse 2. Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world. English Standard Version, New King James, versions like that would say, don't be conformed to this world. Don't let our lives be shaped by the standards and assumptions of the world. That's not what we're called to look like the world, but we are called to be transformed. Let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. If we want to know God's will, we have to change the way we think. Our transformation is anchored in how we think. So if we are more conformed to this world and less conformed into the image of Jesus, then there's a problem with our thinking. And we have to address our thinking. Usually our thinking that we are unaware of. subconscious behavior, subconscious assumptions. And so I'm going to address as many as I can, as quick as I can. I do encourage you, if you can, I encourage you to look at the notes. There's a lot more in the notes than what I'm able to say verbally, as well as citing all my sources, so you know where I got this information. I don't like making things up. There's good data behind all of these things, and if you want to chase any of those sources, I would encourage you to do so. So that's all in the notes. I'm going to try to narrow this down to at least 5 things that we struggle with, or that we're guilty of, or that our thinking is anchored in, that we need to address, we need to own where our thinking is wrong, and how to come back to Jesus. By the end, I'll repeat this. This is not a do better talk, okay? This is not a you're bad, you're in the wrong, you should try harder. It's not this, okay? We are in desperate need of Jesus, but we don't always know our problem in which Jesus is the solution to. And so I can say Jesus' invitation is to come to him. And I can encourage you to come to Jesus, but if you don't know where you're coming from, you won't know how to get to him. Okay, so I'm going to look at 5 things, and I've done my best to make it somewhat memorable, and I put it in an acronym, tired. Because that's what we are, tired. Okay, I'm going to quickly give you all 5 of them, and then we'll look at each one. The T, temptation towards escape. Escapist behaviors. We don't like uncomfortable feelings. We don't like uncomfortable situations. We don't like discomfort at all, especially when it comes to emotional tension or pain. And so there is a sense where, whether it be boredom or avoiding pain, we find ourselves chasing some stimulus, some lighthearted, easy stimulus that keeps us from dealing with that pain. So we choose escapism. So escapism's one. Temptation towards escape. Instagram comparison, fill in the blank on whatever social media app. This is just that relentless and compulsive temptation to compare your life with the idealized and heavily curated life of someone else that they're presenting. And that spirals into a sense of inadequacy. I don't like my life. Look at how boring and lame my life is. Look at how awesome their life is, and they're like even younger than me. I should live like them. How come I haven't lived like that? So, and then a sense of emptiness. It's stimulated, but it's also stimulated in a sense of comparison, where I'm comparing my life to a not real version of someone else's life. The third it's just a relentless hustle. Now, I will deal a lot with this more next week when I talk about a certain practice that we all need to have that works in rhythm with work and rest. But overwork and being overworked is not a 21st century problem. It is a human problem. Making an idol out of work is a problem, and we have to recognize when we are guilty of that problem. And we use all sorts of excuses to normalize our workaholism, and it's going to lead to burnout in our life. But just that relentless hustle. And if anything else, just that sense that I'm always in a hurry. Again, speeding when you're not late. I walk fast. I have my mom's walk, okay? We had tile and wood floors in our house, and my mom wore those power heels. You know what I'm talking about, ladies? The power heels that like you make a statement when you walk. And I could always tell my mom's mood and her frame of thought by listening to the pace, because she also wore skirts, so she couldn't take long strides. My mom was a powerful woman, okay? And she dressed it, and her aura carried it, okay? So like I learned that kind of intentionality and pace from my mom. So I don't have to be in a hurry to be in a hurry. Like I'm just walking fast. And it's like, for whatever reason, I don't see people. I only see the mission. That's the condition of the heart. It's not good, okay? Not making an excuse for that. E, we'll just call that expectations. The temptation towards being a people pleaser. Living by other people's expectations. Or worse yet, your own unreasonable expectations. Both are problems. And then D, which kind of wraps up all of them, just simple distractions. And you and I are far more addicted to distractions than we think.